So you can define how your customers land. So if you want them to come straight into here to start their design, if you want them to go into the more catalog style of ordering, those are all options that are up to you guys. Both ways have like full detailing capabilities. So I still have the same items and stuff that I can detail through this view as opposed to the other. And it is a full customized option. So there's no set sizing or anything like that on any of the cupboards. I can, if I want this to be a 657.5, I can have it at that. So there's no restrictions in terms of that. We can machine for all of those options. Scrolling down, we can define how this is going to be delivered or ordered, I suppose. So if you want to offer an assembly service, that's something you can do. A lot of these options can be switched on and off based on how you want this to be offered to your customers. So if you just want it to be flat pack only, there's only an option there for flat pack, there'll be no assembly. And so if I click assembled, stuff like supply hardware gets switched on automatically, so they can come through. And we could do things like no door faces or no adjustable legs. So that way you can do both. Just if people want adjustable legs, they can have it. If they want to do ladder frames, they can have that. So we don't sort of limit that in terms of what they can choose. Over to our color browser. So you'd be pretty already familiar with this, but in terms of the range that they have available, that is defined by you guys. So I've just got the Laminex Polytech Formica range on here just for simplicity's sake. Next is the door selection. So this is where people can adjust things like the hinge series that you want, and much like the materials, you can define which hardware you want to support. So I've just got the Blum option on this one switched on here, for instance. But if you want to do Titus, you can have the Titus range. If you want to do Headache, you can do the Headache range. However sort of you want to position this, you can control that. We can also do things like these drill-only options as well. So all of the drilling patterns and everything is already in our system, so we can already machine for them all. So if you wanted to make available a bunch of ones that people can still get them drilled, but they will supply the hardware themselves, that's another way you can offer this. So really good for people doing renovations where they're using existing carcasses and trying to use the old hardware. You can have all the new doors and stuff drilled exactly for that hardware series they're using. These door margins here, so these can be just predefined by you, what you already sort of know that works. Cabinet makers and stuff are probably going to come in here and tweak that because they're going to know certain things works really well and they want to be able to dial that in. And that's one of the things that sort of separates this platform a little bit more. And while it can really suit that trade, that more sort of trade orientated one, because it gives them that more control. And everything that we do make a change in here will affect this 3D preview as well. So all of those changes will come through. So if they're unsure what direction to move those panels in, they can see that exactly how that is going to influence the cupboard. Next one here is just for our shelves. So by default, this has got a single shelf in there, but it's easy to add more to it. And we can also control our positioning if we want to dial it right in. So if I want this at a very certain position, I can come in here and tweak that either as a percentage or as a millimeter. So I've got multiple ways to control that. We can also do things like have one of them fixed, one adjustable, one with setbacks, one without. And same again, all of those are going to get shown through to here. And everything that our customer is detailing here, we can machine for all of that automatically. This here's just popped up because I've made some changes from my room defaults. So you can define what those defaults are for your customers, or they can define them themselves. But it's noticed I've changed the color, changed some delivery or supply options there, and added the step back. Just wants to know if I want to do this for the whole job, so I don't have to keep reselecting things over and over again. So yes, I want all of this, but this step back, that was a once-off. I don't want to do that on any other cupboards. Now I've got me one cupboard and it's added it to the room. Much like most 3D room designers, you can move cupboards around, you can adjust things. We can return and edit this again. So it's basically like most 3D design tools there. So this is one way of doing your order. Then we have the more catalog style of ordering, which you can just do it through this add product section where you can come in and you can just browse for all of the different cupboards. We have all the same options that we did in the 3D room planner. We just basically, instead of focusing on trying to do a plan, because some cabinet makers are already going to have a plan done up, they're not going to need to do any of that. Or if it's a builder working off a drawing, they don't need to go through it again. It's more for those DIYs, I suppose, that need help visualizing that space, or even perhaps a cabinet maker that doesn't have software and they just need a simple tool to be able to do up a quick drawing. Same options we had before, still customizable. But in terms of since this is a drawer unit, there's some stuff that we can do with the actual drawers themselves. So we can come down here, we can control the drawer face heights of all of them. So if I wanted to change this one to 150, that's going to go through and update the runner. So I don't have to worry about making sure that they've selected the right options. The options they have available will be based on what they choose there. And everything in this drop-down box will all be items that this can actually be machined for. And if the customer was to say, make a mistake there and drop the 1 off there by accident, it's going to show there's no valid runners. It's going to stop them saving this product because we can't actually manufacture this product anymore because there's no options for that. So, and it's going to make them make sure that they make that change before proceeding on. So if we were to jump back into that 3D room planner, you'll actually see it's added that one in there for me. And if I wanted to, I could edit this cupboard and it would give me the same options that I had in that other view. It's sort of more in this 3D space. So I can jump over to the drawers. I've still got my options here. It's still going to have the same validation where if I drop that down, it's going to show there's no drawer runners. The behavior will be exactly the same. It's just instead of me doing it in this 3D room planning tool, I'm doing it in that other stage. Because like I mentioned, you might have guys that don't need to do a 3D plan for the room they're working in. They just want to be able to have a tool they can jump on. I need this cupboard, this cupboard, this cupboard, and I just need a way to quickly add those in. The other style of ordering is more of a cut list based one. So you can come in and you can just actually order individual doors, panels, that sort of thing. And you actually have a little bit more control over things in this area as well. Because if I want to just say add in a panel at 600, 350, I can control which one's actually going to be edged. So you can control it down to that level. But we can also quickly add more panels to this as well. So 350, 600, exactly the same, just the opposite. And they can build out their order this way. So it's good for if they're trying to add, I suppose, do stuff that's a little bit outside of the norm, I suppose. So they could be using it in conjunction with another cupboard if they wanted to add certain things to it that there might not be a perfect item already in the catalog for them to use. So I see that happening a lot. Where also for those like renovations when people doing refaces, they might come in here and they need to order doors. So they can come in, choose their door sizes. You can do your hang direction. You can control your hinge styles. Our hinges positions will be located on there. We can actually control our position of the hinges. So if I needed to line up with existing cabinetry, I can make sure I can dial that right into the millimeter. And same again, choose your hinge styles for those ones. The next thing to show you guys is the benchtop tool. So it's another option, and I suppose it's another add-on that they can have to that overall order. And even if it is you're just ordering them through Polytech or Laminex, wherever you get them through, it's another value add. Because if they can come in here, you can define, same again, all of the options they have available. And the tool has a lot of that sort of that validation built into it as well. So if we can come through, spec out our bench how we want it, we can just define our thicknesses, our materials. We can define our edge profiles. So if it wants to be 1010 tight form, these are all options you can define in terms of what is actually available. If we do the type of join, we can just easily select where we want it to be. And things like this, the actual joins available will be based on the bench. So if I go back and change this back to 600, it's going to change it to a full miter. But then if I also come in here and do a 6 meter bench, it's going to add in a butt joint to it. It's going to know that there's going to be the material only goes up to a certain length before that needs to be done. And then it'll also allow them to choose where they want that joint to be. So it just gives them enough control to be able to detail this exactly the way they want. Because our idea is if we can produce a detailed enough report, you should just be able to take this to your benchtop supplier and be like, this is the benchtop I need for this job. And assuming we've got all the pricing and stuff that you have from those suppliers, then this can still quote that correctly in real time. Next thing is the sundry store. This is just anything else you want to sell for this platform. So I've seen people do custom furniture like vanities, entertainment units. I've got one on here. You can do like just additional hardware. I've seen packs of screws for DIYs. I've seen people sell offcuts of boards on here, custom chopping boards. Also, basically whatever else you want to sell for this platform, this is a place that you can do it. I've seen people sell like appliances and stuff for here as well, where they'll have range hoods and ovens and those sort of things that they want to capitalize through the order as well. So, like I said, it's something that's basically a blank canvas for you guys to put on any extras that you want to sort of sell as a part of this service.